properly fund our police and safety workers, this is the way to keep the society stable and safe for everyone, and to have equal justice in our communities. So the idea of funding or having legislation in place to allow vigilantes to do their thing, I think is absolutely wrong, especially given this climate where we have people, unstable people such as the one we've seen in the theater. I think we should properly fund our police officers, our firefighters, and people who are there whose responsibility it is to keep us safe.
In reviewing House Bill 5001, the appropriations for 2012-2013, there's nearly $100 million allocated for various state road projects. What is your plan to assist minorities, especially those in the most disadvantaged areas like the Glades, in acquiring work from these projects?
It's interesting. I believe the Glades are no longer part of the new configuration of District 88. However, I'm aware that there are 50-some odd empowerment enterprise zones, and that the Glades is one of the areas that is covered by those zones. So I believe that we need to look at how those funds are working in those zones now to see how we can get the state money allocated properly to our communities and the projects that we think are important, that the citizens believe themselves are of value to District 88. And I'm sorry that the Glades are no longer part of the configuration, but they are our neighbors, and when you go to Tallahassee, you are fighting for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby Powell, candidate, State House District 88. As a legislator, one of the things that I be fighting for is making sure that I can get a hold of somebody in economic development or transportation economic development appropriations to make sure that we have funding for road projects in the Glades area. We have road funding. We have funding for projects in the main part of the district as well. As a minority and the only legislator, or one of the only state representative who will be representing this area, I would say that we fight to make sure that we have money for infrastructure projects and make sure minority and women business enterprises have the opportunity to have fair chances at these contracts. It's all about fairness and making sure that we cover our bases and that the people who are applying for contracts have the opportunity to receive them, an opportunity to work in the district. In the Glades area, a lot of infrastructure needs to be done. We need to deal with the piping, and thank you.
Being a worker in the construction industry, what I found is that it's very non-discriminatory, actually. We have had during times of good work, actual vacancies in the apprenticeship program. And I know this for a fact in the electrical trade, and they have done extensive outreach into the black community to go ahead and find qualified applicants. And one of the main problems we have is they just don't apply. And this has been one of the things that the other unions have said, because they have also gone out and actually tried to find these people. Because we do want the younger people, we want them in the programs, we want to go ahead and train them, and we want to put them out there working. But it's one thing to go ahead and put in a quota, but you still have to have the people apply. So my encouragement is along the lines of getting the people to apply. Because when the construction industry picks up, there'll be plenty of jobs available.
I'd like to add to that also we have to make sure that the bonding is available and we have funding for our companies if they want to work on construction projects, that they're able to properly bond so they can really be partners in a sense, as opposed to partners in name, really partners in the project. Thank you.
Yes, briefly, I want to say that I do not agree with the opponent who is saying that people don't apply for jobs and don't apply for economic opportunities. I think that's absolutely wrong. And to refer to the community as those people, them, they never do, I think this is disparaging and does not show the proper sensitivity to the fact that we're all coming from different points. economically and otherwise, socially, ethnically, and so on, and we've got to get along. And this newly created district of 88 is bringing together different neighbors than we had before. This is a gift of redistricting, and we've got to make the most of this lemonade, going from Lake Park all the way down to Delray Beach. We have to identify each other and come up with our priorities for the community. Thank you.
A rebuttal to that?
Thank you. One rebuttal response, and we're moving on to the next question, which is actually an addendum to what you were saying, Mr. Powell. You said that you would like to see that minority and women businesses have opportunities. Most of the municipalities state that they do not have funds for a disparity study. That is a response that you're going to get. When that happens, and that's no longer something that we can say, what do we do next? What is the next step after someone says there are no funds available for a disparity study to ensure that minority and women businesses are at the table?
Bobby Powell, I agree that we need to have a disparity study, and if there are no funds for it, if we are able to get the funds in the budget to do a disparity study, we need to also put the funds in the budget for implementation. And we're able to get the disparity study and we evaluate where we're at, and it shows that there is disparity in the contracting. We need to be able to have funds for implementation to make sure that whatever the study shows us, we're able to go in those areas and fund projects or fund these businesses so that they're able to stand on their own. Thank you.
Repeat the question again.
Mr. Powell stated that we need to ensure that minority and women businesses have opportunities when projects are available. The only way to do that is through a disparity study, which most municipalities say they do not have the funding for. What do you do when you go to a municipality and there is no funding available to ensure that minority and women businesses have the opportunity to participate?
Quite honestly, I wish that all the businesses could participate. This matter actually came before me yesterday when contractors were wondering what projects were going to be done at the Port of Palm Beach. Apparently, I have one of the 10 books that show what the port will be doing in the next 5 years. Many contractors, and not just the minority ones, have approached the port to find out what the plan was and what opportunities are available. Well, it's a big problem when the municipalities and the port, they don't even report what opportunities will be available, when they do not report who can be bidding on it, when they do not report the scope of work. Disparity studies aside, they still have to put the work out there, and it's the municipalities that are not. Okay, so this is something that the municipalities have to address at their level of, putting out for bid work. And if you look at how it's actually done, you would realize that, yes, you can do a disparity study, but once again, if the bidding is only let to a few qualified contractors, it doesn't work. They have to be able to qualify. And this is where the municipalities have to step up and do their job.
Thank you. As the only woman on the panel, I can tell you that I don't need a study to tell me that women are not getting their fair share of the business activities out there. And with all due respect, if the municipalities don't want to take any action based on some study that we can't get funding for, we have to look for funding from other sources. We have to go to the universities and colleges and find out who's willing to write up the studies for us that we need to present. And in addition, we need women to participate, women, voters, mothers, sisters, students, entrepreneurs, to go out and fight for it. We need you to vote. We need you to support other women candidates who will go out there and assure them that women can do the job at hand, and we need to participate in the economic development.
I'd like to add to that. We're talking about state level, and as one of the two people who actually live in this district, we're sitting up here today, I would like to say on a state level, we'd have to make sure or advocate for funding in the budget to even try to do a regional disparity study. there's a $70 billion budget, and every year things are being cut in order to add to that budget. So it's not something that would be easy to do, but it would take an advocate. Thank you.
No, that's all right. It's not a- Thank you.
President Obama's health initiative gained major support recently from the Supreme Court decision. Our governor has come out and said he opposes it. If elected and you represent this community in Tallahassee, are you for or against President Obama's healthcare initiative? And what is your plan to guarantee that uninsured citizens in this community get health care? Mr.
Thank you. I am unequivocally for the President's Affordable Health Care Act. I think it's about time. I commend the President for that and for everyone who voted and supported it. There are many places where we can get detailed information on the benefits of this act right here for residents of Florida, Palm Beach County, and residents of District 88. There is no question that health care is one of the fundamental needs of the community, of any civilized community. We need to have that. We need to support it. We need to keep telling the governor that it is unacceptable to turn down funds. I understand there's a threat now to turn down federal funds for Medicaid, which would not cost Florida taxpayers any money. That's outrageous. We must learn to use one word with the governor and the current legislator and the people who've been supporting them, and that word is no.
Bobby Powell. And I would oppose Governor Rick Scott's agenda of sending back the money for the Affordable Care Act. The federal government sends us money for a number of different things. Our budget, actually about a third of our budget in the state of Florida comes from the federal government. Then we have general revenue and the rest is trust funds. And of course, 1/3 of our budget this year was spent on health care. This would be an opportunity for Florida to make sure that we should make sure all of our citizens have health care. The Affordable Care Act would ensure that there's tax credit provided for those who are low income. There's tax credits to make sure that people who have jobs that may not pay them enough to have health care, or the jobs are able to insure people. So anything that Rick Scott is opposed to, I would be for, because it looks like he's opposed to our citizens being able to have affordable health care, transportation. He already sent back funds from high-speed rail, but I definitely oppose his agenda. Thank you.
Charles Mantel. I am for the Affordable Health Care Act, and I am against Rick Scott's opinion of it. But let's be aware that Mr. Scott made his millions in the healthcare industry. He made a profit, other people paid for it. So yes, I can see why he's objectionable to the idea of making healthcare affordable for the people who need it versus a profit for the people who are employed in the healthcare industry. Healthcare, first off, is not free. We all have to pay something. But somehow there is this total disconnect between what we pay and what goes to the doctor, and what gets removed from that, in between you putting in the money and the doctor receiving. That is a tremendous industry. And what I feel Mr. Scott is trying to do is support that industry, to take dollars out of your pocket, put it into an insurer's pocket, and you get minimal health care.
The state seems to be moving towards downsizing and passing the cost to county and municipal governments. How would you address state market